What is up, everybody? What's good? What's happening? It is Friday, November 2020. Sound like I'm on a loop. We got 4 games tonight. We got Syracuse versus Louisville, Purdue versus Minnesota, Massachusetts versus Florida Atlantic, and New Mexico versus Air Force. Before we get to the picks, I just want to say thanks to all my new subscribers, and I'm thanking you all in advance for the thumbs up. If you can give me one, I would really appreciate that, as I never charge for my picks, and I never will. All I ask from you is a thumbs up and a sub to the channel. So let's not waste much time chit-chatting. Let's get to the picks. Let me know what you think of the picks. If you agree, if you disagree, if you're going to tail, if you're going to fade, let me know. It's all good. We're all here to beat the bookie. Hopefully, that's what we can do tonight. Let's get to it. The Syracuse Orange aim to put an end to being the worst team in the ACC Conference when heading on the road on Friday for a showdown with the Louisville Cardinals. Being dubbed as one of the worst teams in the conference is far less grim than being the only team sitting dead last in the bottom of the standings with a 1-7 record. The Orange are coming off a heartbreaking 16-13 loss to Boston College, while the Cardinals were handed a 31-17 loss on the road to Virginia. The line for this contest has moved toward the hosts during the course of the week. Louisville opened as a 17.5-point favorite when the lines came out, but as of this afternoon, which is Friday, the Cardinals sit as anywhere from an 18.5 to a 20-point favorite, depending on the book. 58% of the bets ATS are backing Syracuse on the road with the points in this contest. The total for this contest has dropped somewhat during the course of the week. After opening at 58.5 points, the total currently stands at 55 or 55.5. A solid 60% of the bets on this total for the contest are expected the game to go over the mark. Temperature at kickoff is expected to be in the high 50s for this contest under cloudy skies. The temperature will fall into the mid-50s as the game continues, with only about a 5% chance of precipitation in the forecast. Winds are from the south-southwest around 5 miles an hour, with the gusts topping out at about 7 miles per hour. So, no factor there. Syracuse might actually have a shot to win another game. They haven't tasted victory since they ran Georgia Tech into the ground back in late September. That game feels like a lifetime ago at this point, considering the team has dropped its last 5 straight games. After Friday's tilt with the Cardinals, they'll draw a tough meeting with North Carolina State before an impossible road stop against the number 2 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The daunting future is enough to give the most diehard Orange fans an upset stomach. But a chance meeting with the Cardinals gives the team its best opportunity to win their second game of the season. Perhaps they can finish the year tied for the worst record in the conference instead of being the lone team at the bottom of the standings. It'll be no easy task with an offense that's stuck in the mud on a weekly basis. The team sits at the bottom of the conference in total offense, with an average 263.8 yards per game. To put that sad number into perspective, Louisville is averaging 239 yards in passing alone. Syracuse head coach Dino Babers will put his faith in freshman Joakim Morgan to lead the way as the starting quarterback, but he isn't willing to hang the tag as savior over the young signal caller's head just yet. The team needs to carry Joakim, said Babers. Joakim is young. He doesn't know what he doesn't know, which is kind of cool, but we need to all play better to make it easier on him. Morgan will be facing a defense that doesn't generate much pressure, but that might not matter with the Orange allowing the most sacks in the conference. The offensive line will need one of its best games to give him a chance in the pocket. On the defensive side of the ball, the front cannot allow itself to be bullied in the trenches. Louisville's offense lives off the ground game, which means they'll come out and punch Syracuse in the mouth early. If the Orange can't stand their ground and punch back, which has typically been the case, this game could be over quickly. Running back Javian Hawkins was well on his way to 1,000-plus rushing yards for a second straight season, but he is reportedly opting out and preparing to enter the 2021 NFL Draft. The Cardinals are sitting at 2-6 in a season hampered by the coronavirus pandemic. It's no surprise one of the team's key offensive players has chosen his future over the present. Of course, the Cardinals are still committed to running the football, even without Hawkins on the field. Quarterback Malik Cunningham recently pounded Virginia for 197 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Reserve running backs Maurice Berkeley and Jalen Mitchell also got in on the action. However, it would be ludicrous to pretend like the team won't miss Hawkins' playmaking abilities, particularly against Syracuse on Friday. The Orange have the worst rushing offense in the conference, with the team allowing an average 223.5 yards per game on the ground. Cunningham could bury them beneath his cleats alone as long as the offense line holds up its end. The unit ranks in the middle of the conference, with 22 total sacks allowed so far this season. Running the ball has been an even bigger priority, with leading receiver Tutu Atwell missing time. The hope for the Cardinals is to force Syracuse's young quarterback into making mistakes. There will definitely be growing pains, and Morgan will be playing behind an offensive line that holds up about as well as papier-mâché in pouring rain. If there was ever a game where the Cardinals generated a pass rush, this would be that game. But I also wouldn't hold my breath in that regard for a unit that has been a constant letdown. So Louisville should have no trouble eking out a win at home in this game. But the spread is way too high for a team that has its own issues. They haven't been able to generate a consistent pass rush, and they'll be without one of their best offensive playmakers in Hawkins. Syracuse is positioned well enough in this meeting to keep things interesting. They aren't getting blown out by a team that has the same amount of conference win as they do. Babers won't put Morgan in a position to play hero ball. They'll keep the offense simple with a steady dose of check down throws, while putting the onus on the defense to keep things tight. That plan nearly paid off against a tough Boston College team. Not to mention the Orange will be coming into this game with fresh legs after having a week off. That extra time will pay off with Morgan having another week to prepare as the team's starter. He'll be less shaky in this outing with the team rallying behind his promotion. This Louisville offense is far from a juggernaut, even in comparison to the lowly Orange. I'm going to go with the Syracuse Orange plus the 18.5 in this contest. What is your feeling about this game? I want to hear from all of you out there as well. Do you like this pick? Are you going to stick with the favorite? Or will this dog, Syracuse, bite tonight? Hopefully, there will be a big bite for Syracuse this evening. Again, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, and please do smash that thumbs up. It means a lot, and I really appreciate it. On to the next one. All of you have been following my picks. You know about me and Minnesota picks the last 3 times. Yeah, they screwed me each time. What about this time? The Purdue Boilermakers will try to bounce back from their first loss of the season when they travel to TCF Bank Stadium on Friday evening for a Big Ten battle versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Following up last season's improbable 11-2 run hasn't been easy for PJ Fleck and company. 4 weeks into an abbreviated conference-only schedule, the Gophers have already suffered more losses, 3, than they did in 2019. Meanwhile, Purdue is fresh off its first loss of the 2020 season after falling short versus Northwestern last week. Can the Boilermakers get back on track versus an underwhelming Minnesota team on Friday night? There hasn't been much in the way of movement as far as the line goes for this contest. After opening as a 2.5-point favorite on the road for this one, Purdue now sits as a 1.5-point favorite. 57% of the bets ATS are backing the Boilermakers, giving the points on the road in this contest. The total for the contest has moved down slightly this week. After opening at 62, the total has stayed at either 59.5, 60, or 60.5. A solid majority, 58% of the bets on the total, are expecting this contest to wind up over the total. Temperature at kickoff is expected to be in the mid-30s for this contest, with the real feel right around 30 degrees. Expect mostly clear skies throughout the game, with no precipitation in the forecast. The temperature will only drop into the high 20s, with the real feel bottoming out around the mid-20s as the game continues with no precipitation in the forecast. It's going to be a chilly night in the Twin Cities for this one. Winds are projected to come from the northwest at 7 miles an hour, with the gusts clocking in around 10 miles. Purdue was unable to get its offense going in last week's 27-20 loss at home versus Northwestern. Quarterback Aiden O'Connell completed 28 of 51 passes for 263 yards with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions on the day, but he didn't get much help from the Boilermakers' running game. It was held to just 17 rushing yards in the loss. The Boilermakers converted only 4 of their 17 third downs, which has been a problem for them so far this season. Through 3 games, Purdue ranks 99th in the nation with a 34.1% conversion rate on third down. The Boilermakers offense remains without wide receiver Rondell Moore, who has yet to play this season. According to ESPN, Moore has been dealing with a lower body injury. He initially opted out of the 2020 season, but eventually decided to play. Rumors swirled that he might play last week, but Moore remained active. As a freshman, the 5'9" speedster caught 114 passes for 1,258 yards and 12 touchdowns, but Moore just played 4 games last year due to a nagging hamstring injury. He finished 2019 with 29 catches for 387 yards and 2 scores. Purdue has been a bend but don't break defense for the most part in 2020. The Boilermakers have surrendered 408 total yards per game, but only 23.7 points per contest. As far as Minnesota goes, their offense stalled in a 35-7 loss versus Iowa last week. The Golden Gophers trailed throughout and didn't score until 14 seconds left in the game, despite 144 rushing yards from running back Mohamed Ibrahim. Tanner Morgan completed less than 50% of his passes, 16 for 33, for 167 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, while Rashad Bateman caught 8 balls for 111 yards and the team's lone score on the day. Minnesota had the ball for more than 36 minutes, but was still outgained 346 to 312 in terms of total yardage in the loss. Thank God I had Iowa last week. Ibrahim has been one of the few bright spots for Minnesota this season. The 5'10" junior had already racked up 715 yards and 10 touchdowns in 4 Big Ten games. Ibrahim has rushed for at least 140 yards in every game this season and already has 2 4-touchdown games. He's also averaging over 5 yards per carry for the 3rd consecutive season. Meanwhile, Morgan has taken a step back in his junior campaign. After throwing for more than 3,200 yards and a 30-7 TD to interception ratio in 2019, Morgan has thrown many interceptions as touchdowns, 4 through 4 games this season. The real problem for the Gophers has been a defense that has regressed mightily in 2020. Minnesota comes in allowing 447.3 total yards per game and a whopping 238.3 yards per game on the ground, which ranks 115th in the nation. The front 7 will get a bit of a break this week against a Purdue team that is averaging just 63.7 yards per game on the ground, which is 124th in FBS. Still, the Gophers will have to find a way to keep points off the board after giving up 35.8 points per game on average through their first 4 contests. Minnesota's offense hasn't been as good as advertised in 2020. Morgan has struggled to make good decisions with the football, and the defense has been downright awful, especially against the run. But the Gophers do get a bit of a break here against a Purdue team that has some question marks at quarterback and a non-existent running game to boot. Ibrahim has been a workhorse for the Gophers through the first 4 games, and he'll be able to take some of the pressure off of Morgan in this one. Purdue has given up over 150 yards per game on the ground this season. A solid running game is going to be the difference in this one. While I expect Minnesota to pull it off, it's hard to go wrong with the points here. Here we go again. Take Minnesota to cover the spread at home in this Big Ten battle on Friday night. Let's go Minnesota +2 over Purdue. Yeah, I know, my voice doesn't sound that confident because they screwed me time and time again. I even, for the first time, went against them last week by going with Iowa. That time they didn't screw me because they didn't cover. Iowa won it, as expected. So, let's try once again. Jump on the Gophers +2. Good luck if you decide to go with my pick. If you decide to fade, tail, whatever you decide, good luck to you as well, and make the winnings be yours. Again, appreciate a thumbs up and a sub if you're new here. College football action under the Friday night lights, and the independent Massachusetts Minutemen will square off against the Florida Atlantic Owls of Conference USA. This contest will take place at FAU Stadium in Boca Raton, Florida. The Minutemen entered this game at 0-2 on the year and are off a 51-10 loss at Marshall, while the Owls enter this contest off a 38-19 road win over Florida International to move to 4-1 on the year. The line in this contest has moved to the home team here in what is being perceived as a one-sided contest. Florida Atlantic opened as a 30-point favorite in this contest, and that number has ballooned to the Owls 33.5. 65% of the bets, ATS, are back in Florida Atlantic at home, despite giving nearly 5 touchdowns in this one. The total for the contest moved up a little this week. After opening at 49.5 points, the total climbed to 51, even 51.5 points, depending on your choice of sports books. The majority, 57% on the bets on the total, are expecting this contest to wind up over. As far as the weather goes, it's going to be a warm one in the Sunshine State and South Beach on Friday night. Game time temperatures are expected to be in the high 70s, with the real feel in the low 70s at kickoff under partly cloudy skies. The temperature will remain constant during this contest, with the clouds giving way to mostly clear skies. There is a coin flip chance of precipitation at kickoff that drops to around 35% in the second half. Winds are expected to come out of the northeast around 15 miles an hour and top out around 21 miles an hour. The Umass Minutemen probably should have sat this season out. After going just 1-11 last year, they have gotten off to an 0-2 start and have been outscored 92-10 in the 2 games. This is a pathetic team right now, and they have been no more than a practice scrimmage for Georgia Southern and Marshall so far. The offense has produced just 10 points through 2 games, and it doesn't figure to get any better for the Minutemen in this one, as the Owls have been one of the best defensive teams in the nation so far. UMass has averaged just 114.5 yards per game through the air and 76 yards per game on the ground thus far. The offense expected to be better this year with 7 starters back, but they have not materialized on that side of the ball. Getting the start of QB in the last game, a 51-10 loss at Marshall, was Will Koch, and he hit 12 of 18 passes for 99 yards and a touchdown. The true freshman is expected to get the start in this one. The Minutemen need a lot of help from the ground game, which has not been good at all. Ellis Merriweather leads the team in rushing with 56 yards on 26 carries. That translates to just 2.15 yards per attempt. You won't be able to move the ball on this defense with numbers like that. The Owls are ranked 24th in the nation against the run, allowing just 114 yards per game so far. As bad as the offense has been for UMass, the defense has been just as bad, as they allowed 46 points per game and 465.5 yards per game through their first 2 contests. The Minutemen allowed Marshall to pile up 495 yards of total offense, but they will be facing an FAU offense that has averaged just 323 yards per game and 20.8 points per game on the year. Can the UMass defense keep them in this game? What do you think? The Florida Atlantic Owls have been all about defense this year, but the offense finally showed up in their last game. In that contest, they beat in-state rival Florida International on the road by a score of 38-19. It was the most points the Owls scored this year, with their previous high being 24 points. They have a solid chance to build off that offensive performance in this, as the Owls will be facing one of the worst defensive teams in the nation. The ground game has been the key to the offense, as FAU is 22nd in the country in rushing. They piled up a whopping 381 yards on the ground in the win over FIU. Javion Posey had a huge game with 182 yards rushing and a touchdown in his first career start. Despite those numbers, Willie Taggart did not commit to Posey being the starter moving forward. We may see Nick Tronte, who has thrown for 470 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception on the year. We note that he is not the same dual-threat quarterback that Posey is. Malcolm Davidson had a nice game against the Golden Panthers with 88 yards and a touchdown. He currently leads the team in rushing with 283 yards and 2 touchdowns. Davidson may not be the leader much longer if Posey has another huge game on the ground. Posey has 10 of 16 passes for 8 yards with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions in the win over FIU. He was not asked to do much in the passing game, and why would he when the ground game was so good? We should see more of the same in this one. As I stated at the top, the Owls have been led by a defense that is 120th in yards allowed and 5th in points allowed, giving up just 13 points per game. This is amazing, considering that FAU had only 14 of 30 lettermen, including 3 starters back on that side of the ball from a year ago. I would not expect the defense to be tested a whole lot in this one. So the Owls are not a powerful offensive team, but they finally got the offense going last week as they hung up 38 points on FIU. I can see them hitting at least 38 points in this one, as they will be facing a bad UMass defense. The Owls are all about the run when they have the ball, and the Minutemen have allowed 287.5 yards per game rushing so far. FAU will run all over this defense. Speaking of defense, the Owls have one of the best in the nation and will now be facing an offense that has scored a total of 10 points, like I said, through their first 2 games. The Minutemen are outclassed in every phase of this game, and for that, I expect the Owls to take this one by at least 34 points. As the spread right now is 33.5, let's go Florida Atlantic minus 33.5 over Massachusetts. Good luck to you if you decide to tail me on this one. If you want to fade, good luck as well. May the winnings be yours, as always. A pair of teams from the Mountain West take to the field in the Rocky Mountains looking to procure a victory on the gridiron. The New Mexico Lobos make the trip northward as they battle the Air Force Falcons Friday night. New Mexico was defeated 27-20 by Nevada in what was supposed to be a home game last Saturday, but was played on UNLV's campus as a neutral site contest due to COVID-19 restrictions in the state of New Mexico. Air Force hasn't played since a 49-30 home loss to the then number 25th ranked Boise State back on Halloween. The Falcons had games against Army on November 7th and Wyoming last Saturday canceled due to COVID-19 concerns on their squad. In the all-time series between the programs, Air Force holds a 23-14 advantage and have taken the last 2 meetings, including a 44-22 road victory in the most recent matchup on November 23rd, 2019, almost a year ago to the day. The line has moved slightly during the course of the week in favor of the visiting team. Air Force opened as a 10.5 point favorite. As of this afternoon, it dropped to 9.5, even 8.5. The total for this contest has dropped slightly during the week as well. After opening at 56, the total is currently at 55 or 55.5 depending on where you look. A hefty 69% of the bets on the total are expecting this contest to go over. Temperature at kickoff is expected to be right around 40 degrees under cloudy skies. The temperature will drop slightly into the high 30s, and there is no precipitation in the forecast, though the real field temperature will fall into the mid-30s during the game. Winds are only about 6 miles an hour, with the gusts topping up around 7 miles. New Mexico battled against Nevada, but ultimately fell a touchdown short when all was said and done. The Lobos try again for their first win in the Danny Gonzalez era in this contest. Against Nevada, New Mexico started strong as they jumped to a 10-0 lead early in the second quarter, only to give up 10 points in 20 seconds late in the first half. The Lobos bounced back to a 13-10 halftime lead before giving up 17 unanswered points to trail by 2 touchdowns. New Mexico clawed within a score with 4:02 to play and got one more chance with good field position after solid play from their defense plus a 14-yard punt return. They were unable to capitalize, turning the ball over on downs at the Nevada 24 with 1:03 to play. New Mexico was outgained 392 to 352 in the contest, despite owning a 21-19 advantage in first downs, along with a 32 and 15-second to 27-minute 45-second advantage in time of possession. Both teams turned the ball over once. The Lobos come into this contest 56th in the FBS in passing offense with 241.7 yards per game through the air. New Mexico is 42nd in the nation in rushing offense with 189.7 yards per contest. The Lobos are 90th of the 126 teams in the FBS that have played this season in scoring offense with 24.7 points per game. New Mexico is 97th in scoring defense as they allow an average of 34.7 points per contest. Tevaka Tuiri has hit 37 of 66 passes for 475 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception this season. He is second on the team with 140 yards plus a score on the ground. I'm going to butcher his name, Tuiati missed the Nevada game with a concussion, and his status will be important to monitor here. Trey Hall has completed 19 of 38 passes for 234 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year. Bobby Cole leads the Lobos with 39 carries for 226 yards plus a score, while Nathaniel Jones contributes 18 carries for 107 yards plus a touchdown. In the passing game, Jordan Kress, Emmanuel Logan Green, and Andrew Erickson have all put up at least 125 receiving yards this season. New Mexico's best hope for success is to have Tuioti back under center for this one. The Lobos were more effective in the passing game when he's throwing the ball and running the offense. Air Force has had their struggles defending the pass as they have allowed opposing quarterbacks to complete 70.1% of their throws while averaging 219 yards per game. The Falcons have surrendered 6 scores through the air this season in their 3 games. If New Mexico can make some plays in the passing game, it might open up some space for the run. That's the game plan the Lobos have to go with at this point if they want to hang tough. Air Force hasn't played in nearly 3 weeks by the time this contest is ready for kickoff, as their last 2 games were postponed after issues with COVID-19 on their roster. The Falcons hope that they can put that behind them and knock the rust off as they try getting back to 500 on the year. Air Force held a 14-7 lead after 1 quarter and a 17-14 edge midway through the second quarter before the wheels came off. The Falcons gave up 21 unanswered points to trail 35-17 after 3 quarters and couldn't get closer than 11 the rest of the way. Air Force held a 484-459 edge in total offense, won the first down battle 28-23, and dominated time of possession by a 37-31 to 22-29 margin, almost over 15 minutes. There were no turnovers in the game, though the Falcons did surrender a kick return for a score in the contest. The Falcons enter this contest 125th in the nation in passing offense with an average of 67.3 yards per contest, which is no surprise given that they are a service academy. Air Force currently leads the nation in rushing offense as they put up an average of 330 yards per game on the ground. The Falcons are 88th of the 126 FBS teams to take the field this season in scoring offense, as they average 25.3 points per game. Air Force is 40th in scoring defense, as they allow an average of 24.3 points a contest. Hazik Daniels is the starter under center and has completed 13 of 26 passes for 133 yards plus a score, while adding 134 yards and a score on the ground. Warren Bryan is 3 of 6 for 38 yards while adding 115 yards and a score on the ground. Timothy Jackson is the leading ground gainer with 34 carries for 178 yards, while Brandon Lewis chips in 19 carries for 172 yards and a score. All told, 5 players have at least 100 yards on the ground for Air Force this season. Kyle Patterson has a team-high 7 receptions for 106 yards plus a score, while Lewis is next in line with 6 catches for 36 yards. Air Force is a force on the ground this season, which is typical for them as they love to pound the ball on the ground and wear down opposing defenses. The Falcons are going to have a challenge here, as New Mexico has done a solid job defending the run, allowing just 81.3 yards per game, 3.1 yards per carry, and 1 score on the ground this season. New Mexico's struggles on defense come through the air, as they have been scorched for 410 yards per game and 12 scores. The problem for the Falcons is whether they can exploit this weakness or if they'll learn on the run game that serves them well on a regular basis. Neither team has been all that great in the early going of the Mountain West season. New Mexico is winless on the season, while Air Force blasted Navy before losing to San Jose State and Boise State in conference action. The Lobos have to have the quarterback running the offense to get themselves back to being more efficient. New Mexico's problem is that they go long stretches in games where they are dominated by the opposition. Air Force is going to try to control the game with their triple option run game, and that is going to grind down the Lobos defense. The Falcons have had 3 weeks between games, and that could keep them a little fresher than the Lobos. New Mexico tends to find ways to fall apart when the game is on the line. Air Force is at home, and they should take care of business here in order to get the victory. So let's go Air Force Falcons minus 8.5 in this one, hopefully to pull it off. What say you? I want to know your comments in the comment section below as well. As always, thanks for watching. Peace and love. Stay safe, stay strong. Take care of yourselves and the family. And do subscribe to the Mavaka Guy channel. And please do give a thumbs up as well. Alright, so we covered the 4 games. Hopefully you agree with most of them. I'm just providing the stats as I get them. If they win, let's at least go 2-2. All right. I know we want to go at least 3-1 or 4-0 would be the ideal. But you know what? Screw it. Let's go 3-1 tonight, at least. All right. Who's with me? Let me know. Comment section below. Thanks for watching. Peace and love as always. Stay safe. Stay strong. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the family. Let the winnings be yours each and every day, no matter who you decide to pick. Be it with me, be it against me. Good luck to you, no matter what. As always, take care, and we will see you tomorrow. Big-time college football. Massive amount of games. Wow, it's going to be a long video tomorrow. But for now, good luck, and we will see you next time.